Hey, what's going on, everybody? Season 8 of Cosmic Crucible is starting up on Monday, so I wanted to get this defense video out. I'm behind on several videos right now. I still have to upload my round 3 video. That should be coming up tomorrow. And I'm also on node 3 for Dark Dimension 7, so I'll have the videos of node 1, 2, and 3 out sometime next week. I just felt that this video was a lot more important to get out, so that way you guys can get your defenses set up and kind of analyze on how you want to approach Cosmic Crucible next season. If this is the type of video that you like, please remember to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. To start this video off, the global rules for Season 8 are going to be the Cabal of Evil. On defense and offense, Cabal characters will count as Masters of Evil. Now, I do want to give a quick heads up about this. I still don't believe that it's worth breaking up your Masters of Evil into making one super team like this, unless it's going to be like a, in case of emergency, break glass type of rune. The Cabal work really well already, depending what characters you place with them. Lizard and Vulture have become a very good plug and play into this team, depending if you're going against a bunch of hero characters or if you're going against Spider-Verse characters. Those two are great in there. If you can start getting the kill train going on them, Archangel has been phenomenal with his team too. So those are the three main characters I have been using with Cabal. So overall, I do feel that it's better to have the two strong teams as opposed to one super team when it comes to the Cabal and Masters of Evil. So I'm going to keep playing them as separate teams unless I absolutely need to combine them. Let's go ahead and take a look at stage 1, see what defenses I have in there for you guys, and then we'll kind of go through the lineup. So for stage 1, Field Medic. On turn, clear vulnerables from self, and you get healed by 20% of max health for each vulnerable effect removed this way. Characters with vulnerable also get a minus 25% resistance. So initially it looks like that this was going to be like an anti-Cabal room. However, the tournament that the content creators and envoys had definitely didn't show that. A lot of people were running the Mercs for Money team in that stage 1, and even with the busted Logan that was in there, Cabal was still the best option to take them out. So Cabal definitely still works in this room because depending what characters you put with them, they go very fast and they can actually take advantage of those vulnerables that's going to be on the enemy. So as far as the team I plan on using in here, the team that's going to be on the top left, I put a red box around it so you guys can see what team I'll be using on defense. I'm going to use the Dorm with Out of Time team in here. They don't really need to take advantage of vulnerables. They're very good efficiency sync because of Dorm being able to give all of them revive onces, they heal up, the barrier that the Cosmic Ghost Rider gives on them. It's just a pain of a team to really deal with. So I'm going to put them in stage 1 and hopefully I can out-efficiency my opponent. Other teams that I feel will work in here. The Gambit Rogue, Tangled Web, Black Knight, I think can do really well in here. They don't really need that vulnerable either, so they can really take advantage of doing the trauma stuns from Spider Weaver, the trauma with the ability block from Rogue, the stuns. They do a lot of work. Plus there's going to be trauma from Black Knight, so they can really pump out a lot of damage. I think that's going to be a really good option in here. Now I have 4 different options as far as the Mercs for Money team that can work in here. So the full 5-man team where you're going to put Deathpool with them. Other options that I think would be really good, the Spider-Man War does work really well with them because Spider-Man War goes so fast. You need to plan a team that comes in with no buffs on them, so that way you can actually go before the Spider-Man War and kind of slow down the Mercs for Money team. I think Robbie's a really good option as well. Another one is going to be X-23. Mine isn't built up all the way. I do plan on kind of leveling her because she's going to be on that Weapon X team now, so I do want to level her up, so hopefully later on in the season I can test her on this. I think she's a really good candidate for this team because the Mercs for Money can pump out so much damage. If they can start dropping people low, X-23 is going to start teeing off with that speed bar that she gets. If you get the T4 on her ultimate ability, there are 2 X-Men characters / X-Force characters with Old Man Logan and Deadpool, so that way she can actually take advantage of the trauma on that last hit for her ultimate ability. Plus, if she kills somebody with it, she's going to attack again. So I think she's going to be very dangerous with this team. It's just I can't test it out yet, so hopefully we can get that information later on in the season. Let's go ahead and check out Stage 2 next. For Stage 2, Blood Transfusion, on turn you're going to gain Bleed. With Bleed, you're going to gain a 5% damage boost per bleed that you have on you. When applying a bleed, you also gain defense up. Now, something to note is that the person whose turn it is will be the one counting as the thing giving you the bleed instead of the room itself. So somebody weaker, like say a Moondragon that doesn't deal a lot of damage, their bleeds aren't going to hurt that much. Whereas somebody like a Ghost Rider Robbie or Old Man Logan, when he gets really up there in levels and stars, those bleeds are going to do a lot more damage. So definitely keep that in mind. There was also a lot of confusion about whether the room adding the bleed would actually affect Robbie's turn meter. They found out in the Cosmic Crucible tournament that the bleeds actually do help him out. So because of that, I actually am going to put my Mercs for Money with Robbie in this room. Now when you're doing this, that means that you're not going to be able to use that Secret Defenders on defense. We're going to talk about that later, but I'm perfectly fine with that because I do plan to use Black Cat as an offensive weapon this season, which I'm really excited about. So that we actually get to play with her instead of her just kind of sitting there being beaten up by Superior 6 and Cabal teams, or even New Warriors teams. So I'm pretty happy about this change. Other options that I think can work in here, the 3-piece Secret Defenders with Morgan Le Fay and Black Knight. They're going to pump out a whole lot of bleeds, so that's going to kind of be a double-edged sword. The enemy's going to be getting a lot more damage output from that. However, how many bleeds that these guys pump out, they're going to be getting those defense ups. Black Knight does bleeds on his retaliates. He should be getting defense up off of that. Robbie's going to be pumping out bleeds, Black Cat, Morgan Le Fay. So they should be getting a lot of defensive up. That's going to kind of help them survive more. This team last season was also a pretty good efficiency sync in that Stage 6. I think it's going to be about the same as far as the efficiency sync goes, because they're going to get so beat up that their health bonus is going to take a massive hit from that. The 4-piece Out of Time with Dorm, I really like this team as an efficiency sync as well. I think they can do really well in here because they have a lot of cleanses to get rid of those bleeds. The Dorm, when he does the special, is going to do like a trauma stun, and it's going to start flipping those buffs into bleeds. So they're going to be taking a lot more damage. I'm trying to basically have them kill themselves by taking the turns, and my team basically survive, and that's what I think this team can actually do for this. The Infinity Watch, I need to find a 4th team. So the Infinity Watch, they do get that immunity, so they should be able to kind of survive a little bit longer before the bleeds start affecting them. If they do get any bleeds on them, they should be able to cleanse those off. So I think Infinity Watch could work in here. This would be like the last option I would put in here as far as like a 4th team goes. I think the other 3 teams are going to be better suited for this, especially that Mercs for Money with Robbie. I really like that one in here. If you want, you can probably put the Mercs for Money with Spider-Man War as the 5th as well, if you do want to go that route, but I don't really want to split my Spider Society up yet. Maybe later in the season. I just want to test them out as a full team before I start removing pieces from that. So let's go ahead and take a look at Stage 3, see what we have in there. For Stage 3, Double Tap. What this room is, on a successful hit, if the target has Exposed, perform a basic attack against that target. Characters with Exposed also have a minus 20% resistance on them. So there's really only 2 options on here, otherwise just treat this as a completely dead room. From what the envoys and the content creators were saying, this room really didn't have much impact on them. So you can go with your Rogue with Extreme X-Men, which is what I'm doing in here. You can do the full Extreme X-Men. Another option that Juicy has been talking about is putting Old Man Logan in here. So take Cyclops out, so you can run Nightcrawler, Gambit for just the 3-piece, Rogue, then add Old Man Logan in here, and this should work pretty well. I do agree with him that this is going to be a really good option. I just personally want to test out the Mercs for Money, see how they do on their own. That way I don't have to kind of hamper my defenses. Unless this is a crazy powerful defense, I might do this later on in the season, to be honest. So another option I think you can do is the Thanos Super Scroll with the 2 Bifrost characters and Dorm. I think that could be a pretty good option in here. You're going to have the 2 people that give exposed out, so you're going to be able to do the damage from Super Scrolls exposed, the ability energy for Vols exposed. If you try to sack it, you're going to be getting ability energy fed over to Super Scroll, and also having it to where the expose is going to have an extra hit on there. Now, the one question I have for this room is, if somebody has a vulnerable and exposed on there and somebody's a striker, is that going to count as a triple tap? That could be pretty interesting if that is the way it works, because having Super Scroll do like a triple tap where he's hidden into an exposed, vulnerable, and a striker, that could be pretty dangerous. So we'll see if that is going to be a factor in here. I may test this defense out later. Right now I do have Super Scroll on a different team. I want to see how it works there before I start breaking up my defense. So we'll see how week 1 goes before I start making alterations to stuff like this. For stage 4, Under the Weather. On turn, clear all negative effects from characters. On turn end, you're going to gain defense down, offense down, slow, and disrupt. So I know during the tournament that the content creators had, the majority of them were using the Spider Society in some function, whether it was the full man team, which is what I plan to do, or subbing Captain Sam in there because they were using Spider-Man War elsewhere with the Mercs for Money team to try to get the speed manipulation that the Mercs for Money can get. I plan to do the full 5-man team. I don't really want to break them up yet. I don't really want to work my Captain Sam up unless I absolutely need to. I'm sure there's some other ways that you can use the Spider Society team in here, whether you put like a Black Knight in there because he would end up having that trauma on there. I think that's actually a really good option. I just didn't put it on this graphic because I just kind of was thinking about it recently as far as other plug and play options that you can do. The 4-piece Out of Time with Dorm I think is another good option because Captain America's special will be able to clear all those negative effects off. Captain Carter with the heal with her ultimate. I think that's a really good team that can actually go in here as well, but I don't think it's going to be as good as the Spider Society is going to be in here. As far as the Infinity Watch with Quicksilver, I think that's a pretty good option in here. The big thing is that the safeguard drops off at the beginning of the turn, so they will be getting those negative effects at the turn end because it doesn't last the whole time. The immunity will save them a little bit for like turn 1. Now there's a really cool thing about Quicksilver being added into the Infinity Watch on this room. At the end of Quicksilver's turn, he would end up having slow applied to him, then he would end up clearing that off, and then he would actually get some turn meter. So it would even make Quicksilver faster than he already is to be able to pop off and get his abilities. I think that can kind of throw off your opponent if they're not really expecting that, especially if he ends up getting trauma on him, because then he's just going to keep trying to clear that slow and keep getting more and more turn meter until another turn comes up. So I think that can throw a wrench into your opponent's plans because they're not really expecting that. But I do think there's another room that this team can go into that would make them even better. So we'll talk about that. Let's go ahead and take a look at Stage 5 next. Stage 5, I'll be back. Villain characters on spawn will gain a revive once at 50% max health. So we need to have a conversation about this room and a certain team. Secret Defenders, and specifically Black Cat. On spawn, she's able to remove the revive once. That does work in this room. There are going to be factors that come into play though. It's able to be dodged, it's able to be blocked, and also resisted. So it's not a guaranteed remove on the revive once. However, it is worth considering using Black Cat as an offensive weapon now. So that's personally the decision I made, where I'm putting Robbie with the Mercs for Money team right now, so I can use the Black Cat as an offensive weapon, specifically with that Cabal team, because I think Black Cat with the Cabal this season in Stage 5 is going to be a nice weapon that you're going to be able to have, where it can take out pretty much any team, and that still leaves you that Masters of Evil to use elsewhere. So that's why I said at the start of the video, having the Masters of Evil and Cabal team together, I don't think it's really going to be worth it this season unless it's one of those, in case of emergency, break glass. So I plan to use the Hive Mind Super Scroll team in this room. most likely we'll be pulling that Cabal team. But the thing that's going to happen in this room is Red Goblin, Super Scroll, Carnage are all going to have that revive once. Red Goblin's going to have that charge, so he's going to be able to try to bring back, say, Void Knight or Gwenum or the Carnage again. So say Carnage does get killed off, the room's going to bring him back. Now say it goes around all the way to Red Goblin's turn and he died again, that's going to bring him back again. So I think this room with the Hive Mind Super Scroll is going to throw quite a bit of people off, and I want to see if it does trip anybody up and how this ends up doing. I think this is going to be pretty good though. Now the obvious choice that people are going to be using in Stage 5 is most likely going to be that Superior 6 team. So that's what I have on the graphic on the right hand side. There's also the Superior Knights team where it's the Superior 6 members with the Black Knight. I think those are very good defensive options too, but try to make sure that you have enough offense this season, especially earlier on. You don't want to turtle too hard at the start where you're not going to be able to get the full clear. Personally, I like to try to go more offensive heavy and then start peeling things back and then adding more onto the defense. So I'm going to have the Super Scroll on defense this season, but I'll be having the Black Knight for offense. So that's going to be 2 of the offensive weapons for that big 3 that I'm going to have, and 1 of those is going to be on the defense. So that's how I plan to do it right now. We'll see if I need to make any alterations where maybe I can put something else big on defense and I'm still good. Another interesting option I think that you can go with is going to be the 3-piece Secret Defenders along with Super Scroll and Morgan Le Fay. So what's going to happen here is 3 of those members are going to have that revive once with the Black Cat, the Morgan, the Super Scroll, and then you're going to have the 2 heroes, so that way your Super Scroll is going to have the full capability of his kit. This could be a pretty interesting one as well. We'll see if anybody ends up using this and if it is actually a pretty good defense that can hold. I think Stage 5 with the right pieces can be a very interesting room, so I do like this one. Let's check out Stage 6 next. Stage 6 Supercharged. After using an ultimate ability, spread all positive effects to adjacent allies. So we had a rule like this before where it was the butterfly effect, but they also added on the ultimate abilities cost 2 less ability energy. So that's heroes and villains. Now the key thing that you're going to have to remember for this is that positioning will matter for every single team that you put in here because that ultimate ability is spreading those positive effects. The team I'm going to be using in here is going to be the Infinity Watch with Quicksilver. Make sure that you have it set up as this position. Nebula's going to ult, she's going to be able to spread those speed up, and then it will go to Phyla-Vell and then Quicksilver. So everybody's going to keep spreading all these positive effects that the Infinity Watch has, and it really is going to be hell for your opponent. So this is the one I'm going to be using here. I know once this room came out, people were automatically thinking the Black Order with Quicksilver because that's turned into a formidable defense depending on positioning. Make sure that you keep Quicksilver and Thanos on opposite ends, otherwise New Warriors usually is able to beat this fairly easily. The Hive Mind Super Scroll, I think that's going to be a very dangerous one in this room as well. They're all going to be ulting a whole lot faster, especially with that Super Scroll ulting on turn 1. That's going to be pretty devastating. So be on the lookout for that defense. And then there's going to be the 4-piece Out of Time with Dorm. So the interesting thing about this one for the positioning is Captain America and Peggy Carter will be ulting every single turn. The Black Knight will be ulting on turn 1 and he'll be able to do that every 3rd turn. Same with the Cosmic Ghost Rider. So this team here will be ulting a lot along with the spreading the positive effects that they always have. So I think this was going to be kind of a sleeper pick for Stage 6. Overall, I think Stage 5 and 6 have a lot of theory crafting built into them. Stage 3 and 4 seem to be kind of stagnant. I'm not really too big of a fan of those 2 rooms. Stage 2, we'll see how impactful those bleeds are going to be. The Stage 1, I think, can be interesting depending on what goes in there. I don't think we really found the ideal team in the Stage 1 where it's going to be clearing those vulnerables, especially when it looked like that was going to be like an anti-Cabal room, and it definitely didn't turn out to be that way. But that's the defenses I'll be running. So any of the defenses that had that red box around them, I'll be using those teams. These infographics will be on my Discord channel probably in about 24 to 48 hours. Most likely it's going to be Sunday or Monday. That way people will be able to kind of visually look at it, and hopefully that will be able to help you guys out. If you did find this video useful, remember to give it a thumbs up. Also, be sure to subscribe to this channel and join the Discord. That's going to be in the description below. Until next time, have a wonderful rest of the day.